So today we're checking out my modified J. Tercer Violin Hofner style Beatle bass that I've turned into a bass 6. Now you might be asking yourself, why did I do that? And it's because basically I've had this guitar for like 10 plus years. I never use it. I think, and the trapeze was like all screwed up. So what I did was I actually ordered a couple pieces off of Amazon. I got a new trapeze piece, which happened to be way too long for a guitar, for a 6-string, and a new bridge, which happened to be too tall. So what I did was I actually used the guitar trapeze. I took that off and put it on the bass one, as you can see right here. And let that just focus for a second. And now you can see that there are the 6 slots there, as well as the bridge had to be sanded down. And if you notice, most of these guys will have like some sort of screw in here so that you could adjust the height on it. Yeah, no, I had to take those out and put them as far down as they could, and then have this block sanded by my tech, who is brilliant and was able to get this thing playing and intonated completely. So the first step that I did, though, besides taking all this off, was fill up the old bass holes. Bought a dowel that was just slightly too big and sanded it down. Let me get that in focus. You can actually see me right through there. Yeah, so what I did was I plugged these with dowels and was able to glue them in and have them strong enough to support drilling new bit and getting a 3x3 set of tuners. Super cheap tuners. I salvaged some from an old piece. I got some new. A lot of the grommets were fucked up, so my tech was actually able to throw a few on here. So my tech actually had a couple extra grommets lying around. He was able to put those on here and get this in playable shape. This is going straight DI to a Focusrite 6i6 into Reaper. Nothing running post right now. I have an Ampeg SCR DI. They're a little bit newer. I have one of those running through the bass just so I can get some like extra tones out of this. Like right now, this is the standard. You're not hearing anything on it. Let me tune that up real quick. So now that we have it in tune, it's completely clean. There's no settings on it. We have the treble and the rhythm section on the pickups, and this is just what it sounds like. So this is what it sounds like, just how it is. Okay, not too bad. Sounds like a bass. Should, because it is a bass. This is with the bass switch on. Just gives it a little bit more meat to it. I think it sounds pretty similar, regardless of it or not. If I take the bass and the rhythm off, you can hear a difference. That just sounds muddy, and I'm not a huge fan of that tone. What I like to do is I have my actual Ampeg SCR DI set up so that it can sound like either a bass or a guitar. So the settings I have right now, let's kick the bass down, the mid up a little bit, and the treble. And that's how I got the like guitar-ish kind of sound for the track. And then for the bass sound, what I did was I hit the ultra low button, I turn off the ultra high, hit the ultra low button, take the treble off a little bit, put the bass up. Crank it so it's like more than halfway. Put the mid just a little bit past 12 o'clock. And now you could actually feel that like rumbling in the room, which is great. Feels really strong, and I like that. I do own a bass 6 currently, an actual one I own. Not that this isn't. I own the Squier bass 6. And I put a stay trim bridge on it, and that has really helped with the intonation and making it so it doesn't buzz. Now initially when I set this guy up, the first like couple strings were buzzing like crazy, like up here. And fortunately Brian, my tech, was able to set that up, and now you could play chords on here. You could play whatever and it'll sound pretty decent if you're a good player. Just turn it off. That's on bass mode. This is just a really cool piece. Definitely nothing like this around. I feel like I have seen one guy do this on YouTube with almost this exact same bass. It was either a Rogue or maybe even a Hofner. If he did it on a Hofner, he's kind of crazy, but our equipment is obviously a little bit different. but I am very happy with the results. This thing plays like a bass 6. It feels like a bass 6. I got the nut custom carved inside here from my tech, and honestly, I couldn't be happy with it. I know that there's a couple little screw ups in here. There's an extra hole. It's just like a miscalculation of drilling, and these are clearly not aligned. But despite all its faults, this is a bass 6. Plays like a bass 6, sounds like a bass 6, and I'm happy with it. Just to prove that this sounds a little bit nutty, let's throw some drive on it and play everyone's favorite riff on YouTube, who has a bass. For comparison, here is my Squier Bass 6 with the added Stay Trim bridge from Stay Trim. Great company. If you ever want to get a bass 6 and you want that thing to intonate properly, if you want to be able to play it without that buzz, go to Stay Trim. Second thing is strings. I know a lot of guys like to put flat wounds on these things, and I think they sound like ass when you do that. Same thing with the other guy. I got custom made strings by Callium. They were able to get me just slightly thinner than a regular bass 6 that they have, so I was able to get it on there and make sure that there wasn't too much tension on the neck. For comparison though, is my Squier Bass 6 versus that one, playing basically the same riff. Alright, so the pickups are a million times better than the ones on that crappy J Tercer. I believe that the J Tercer and the Rogue model are actually the same. They're like completely identical when it comes to the pickups on it. Now, one thing that I was worried about when starting the project was the pins in the actual pickup of it. I was told by a friend of mine that the J Tercer and the Rogue only have 4 pins in their pickups, which means that it should only pick up the 4 strings. But because of how thin the strings are and how close they are together, it was actually able to pick them all up, and there's no volume dips, there's no volume gains between the strings because of how close they are together. I didn't notice that the high E was any louder than the low E on it. It just seemed to work out just fine. And here is for comparison. There isn't as much volume to this guy as there is to the other one, but that's because the output in this one and the pickups in this one are a little bit stronger and split between 3 instead of 2. I like it better this way. It's a lot easier to record, a lot less noise to take care of later, but whatever. And then here's that guitar part. Using the same settings as before, let's throw this treble up and the bass down. So overall, much nicer tone, the Squier Bass 6 compared to the J Tercer's Bass 6 now. However, if you have one of these things lying around and you really want to do it, it's so inexpensive. If you have stuff lying around already, it's even cheaper, obviously. I think in total I spent about $8 on that thing to get it set up, and my tech, he was able to just, you know a tech. So I do a lot of work myself, but some things I just, I love to have like a second opinion on it. My tech was great, and he was able to take a look at it and get this thing fixed up and playable within like 40 minutes of me giving it to him, and it was still kind of in pieces at that point. If it was something that you're interested in doing yourself, I would definitely make a follow-up video for it if the interest is there. I don't think that it's going to be that popular of a video, and that's okay. This is just something fun to like work with. I just wrote something in like 5 minutes to put behind it so that you guys could see what it was like to have a modified Bass 6. The second thing, I would love to do this again, but with a Bronco bass. The Squier Bronco you can get for about $100 or 80 bucks on Craigslist, one of those kind of places. And it's great because those guys are so good for modding. There's just like that single pickup in there, and just what you get is what you get. Super simple. If I had to do it again, I would definitely do it with a Bronco. I've seen somebody do that before on YouTube and had excellent results. In summation, I would definitely do this again. It's a great thing to do if you have like an old piece that you definitely can't sell. I couldn't sell that piece of junk. Nobody wanted it even for parts. So If you have something and you can't get rid of it, or you have that bass that you've been learning on to, do something to it. This isn't the first time I worked on a bass before. Let me show you something. This guy right here is my Ibanez Sound Gear. This was my first like actual bass aside from like a first act. I did so much shit to it. It's got a custom wood pickguard, which is just really ugly. It's just so ugly. I tried to make it look like a bongo. Slight relicking, but not so much as just actual abuse on this thing. I've played with this thing so many times. I played a lot of really shitty local shows with it, and it definitely took a beating. Baby's first mod, and I made this thing into a fretless. So here's this one, and this one does have round wounds on it. I know I was just talking shit about it before, but it's a fretless. It needs it. It sounds so clunky without it. And that's that. I do recommend, if you have some basses lying around or some guitars even that you've always wanted to try something, try it. And if the people on Gear Sluts or anything like that tell you it's a stupid idea, who cares? I mean, it's your stuff. If you're not going to sell it, if someone's not going to buy it for pieces or whatever, have fun. That's what I like to do.